The mansion was quiet that morning, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel louder. The millionaire Alina Ward wasn't supposed to be home. Her staff expected her on a flight across the country, but a sudden change of plans brought her back hours earlier. She walked through the long hallway, heels tapping softly on the marble floor, wondering why the lights were already on in the west wing. Something felt off, almost like the house was holding its breath. As she turned the corner, she heard a gentle humming. It wasn't music from a speaker or a TV. It was a person's voice, steady, warm, and almost soothing. Alina followed the sound, curious and slightly annoyed. She valued privacy, and the idea of anyone wandering through her personal workspace without permission made her tense. That's when she saw him. The janitor she had only met once in passing. He was cleaning with slow, careful movements, as if every item in the room meant something to him. But it wasn't the cleaning that stopped her in her tracks. It was what he was doing in between each task, something she never expected from someone working the night shift, something that didn't match the simple uniform he wore or the quiet way he carried himself. For a moment, Alina forgot to speak. She simply watched, unsure whether to step forward or step back, because what she saw next didn't just surprise. Hurt shifted something deep inside her, and she wasn't ready for what would happen next. Alina stood in the doorway longer than she meant to, her hand resting on the frame as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. The janitor, whose name she faintly remembered as Marcus, didn't notice her at first. He was too focused, moving with a quiet purpose. Between wiping the shelves and polishing the desk, he paused to study a thick notebook spread open on the table. Lines of sketches filled the pages, detailed, thoughtful, almost professional. They weren't random doodles. They looked like plans, designs, ideas big enough to belong in a boardroom, not a storage room. Alina felt a strange mix of curiosity and confusion tightening in her chest. Why would a janitor be working on something like that here, in her private office wing? And how long had this been going on without her noticing? She stepped a little closer, her heels now silent on the carpet, trying to catch a better glimpse without revealing herself. She could see calculations, notes, and diagrams, all neatly arranged. It was the kind of work she usually paid consultants thousands to produce. But what unsettled her most wasn't the drawings. It was the expression on Marcus's face. He looked focused, hopeful even, as if each line he drew meant something important, as if he was building a future no one knew about. Alina's mind raced. Who exactly was this man? Why was he doing this here? And why did she feel, for the first time in a long while, that she was about to learn something that could change more than just her morning? Alina finally stepped into the room, clearing her throat just enough to announce her presence without sounding startled. Marcus looked up sharply, his hand freezing over the page. For a split second, fear flashed in his eyes. The kind that comes from being caught somewhere you're not supposed to be even if you haven't done anything wrong. He straightened his uniform and closed the notebook halfway, as if trying to hide parts of it without looking rude. Alina noticed everything, the tension in his shoulders, the careful way he shifted the notebook, the quiet apology sitting in his eyes before he even spoke. She told him he wasn't in trouble, but the words didn't ease the tightness in the air. He nodded, respectful and calm, yet clearly guarding something deeper. When she asked what he was working on, Marcus hesitated. He glanced at the sketches, then at her, as if weighing whether to trust her or keep his world locked away. His silence only made Alina more intrigued. She wasn't used to people holding back around her. Most tried to impress her or pretend they weren't intimidated, but Marcus was different, steady, private, almost protective of whatever dream he was building on those pages. As they talked, Alina realized he knew far more about engineering and design than she expected. Too much for someone in a janitorial role. At the same time, she noticed how he reacted whenever she mentioned her company. There was history there, something unspoken, something that made his jaw tighten just slightly. And somewhere in the middle of that quiet conversation, Alina sensed a truth forming, one that connected his hidden talent, her family business, and a past she might not be ready to face. The pieces were close, but not close enough, leaving her with more questions than answers, and a feeling that the real story was only just beginning. Alina couldn't take her eyes off the notebook. Every page seemed to pull her deeper into Marcus's world, a world she never imagined existed within the quiet man who cleaned her hallways. The sketches grew more intricate as he flipped through them, revealing blueprints, designs, and notes that hinted at something revolutionary, something that could change not just a business, but an entire industry. Her heart raced. How had she never noticed this talent before? And why had he chosen her office, her resources, to quietly work on it? Marcus's hands shook slightly as he explained his ideas, not with arrogance, but with careful humility. He spoke about potential patents, prototypes, and innovations that sounded almost impossible, but Alina, experienced in business, saw the promise immediately. She realized she was standing on the edge of a decision that could alter both of their lives. She wanted to offer support, resources, guidance, but something in Marcus's guarded expression made her hesitate. He wasn't just hiding ideas, he was hiding a part of himself, a vulnerability he couldn't risk exposing. The tension in the room thickened when a sudden noise from the hallway made them both freeze. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. Someone else was coming, and Elena's mind raced. Was it a colleague, an investor, or worse, someone who could exploit what Marcus had been quietly building? Every second stretched, the suspense almost unbearable. As they exchanged a glance that carried both trust and fear, Elena realized this moment was fragile. One wrong move, one misstep, and everything Marcus had worked for could be lost. She felt a surge of urgency, but also dread because the next moment could either reveal the truth or shatter it forever. The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the polished hallway, and Elena's pulse quickened. Marcus instinctively moved the notebook closer to his chest, as if it could shield him from the unknown presence. The door creaked open, and a familiar face stepped in, one Elena hadn't expected. It was her own business partner, Daniel, someone she trusted implicitly, or so she thought. Daniel's eyes immediately locked on Marcus, and for a moment, the air between them crackled with unspoken tension. "Elena, what's going on here?" he asked, his tone neutral but his gaze sharp, as if reading far more than the situation warranted. Marcus stayed silent, wary, knowing that any word could tip the balance. Elena realized, with a jolt, that Daniel had no idea who Marcus really was, or what he had been quietly creating right under their noses. Suddenly, the stakes shifted. This wasn't just about a janitor with hidden talent anymore. It was about trust, ambition, and the fragile line between opportunity and betrayal. Elena felt a wave of conflicting emotions: protectiveness toward Marcus, suspicion toward Daniel, and the gnawing fear that revealing too much could backfire. Then Marcus did something unexpected. He opened the notebook fully and slid it toward Elena, his eyes steady, daring her to make a choice. In that instant, Elena realized the real conflict wasn't just external, it was inside her as well. Could she protect this man's work, trust her instincts, and confront the potential betrayal of someone she had counted on for years? Or would she lose everything she had built by acting too late? The tension in the room was electric, every heartbeat echoing the unspoken question: who would make the first move, and at what cost? Elena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. She glanced at Marcus, then at Daniel, realizing that the next move would decide everything. Slowly, she slid the notebook back toward Marcus. "This belongs to you," she said, her voice steady. "Not just the ideas, but the future you're building. I'll support you, but no one else touches this unless you agree." Daniel's jaw tightened, and for a split second, Elena thought he might protest. But then something shifted. He leaned back, studying Marcus, and for the first time, the tension in his eyes softened. "I didn't realize," he murmured, almost to himself. "I thought you were just cleaning, but this is extraordinary." Marcus nodded, cautious but relieved, and Elena felt a sense of triumph mixed with caution. Together, they devised a plan. Elena offered resources, mentorship, and access to her company's networks, while Marcus would continue developing his ideas on his terms. Daniel agreed to step back, realizing that trying to control Marcus's work would only destroy it. The room, which had been thick with tension for hours, finally seemed to breathe. Just when Elena thought the storm had passed, Marcus hesitated, flipping the notebook to a final hidden page. His sketches revealed a prototype so advanced, so unexpected, that even Elena's sharp business instincts faltered. "There's one more thing," Marcus said quietly. "Something I've been keeping secret, something that could change more than just my future." Elena's eyes widened, heart racing. The resolution she had anticipated was only the beginning. The real surprise, one that could shake everything she thought she knew, was still